Would you consider 2019 James Harden as one of the greatest offensive seasons in league history? I mean, you have to, right? 36 points per game, 57 30-point games, a month where he averaged damn near 44 a night, and a streak of 32 consecutive 30-point games. It was a historically great season, one that was only made possible by what happened just a year prior. Harden and the Rockets had seemingly cracked the code, up 3-2 in the 2018 Western Conference Finals against the Warriors' juggernaut, and they fumbled it. They lost Game 6 on the road and then collapsed in Game 7 at home, clanking 27 consecutive threes, including a dreadful 2 for 13 for the MVP. No one wanted to see Golden State back in the finals, but in hindsight, I'm glad it happened, because Harden's failure fueled the fire for his ridiculous 2019 season, one that saw the league's best scorer turn into a human cheat code. Harden and the Rockets started out the 2019 season the same way the previous one ended, with an embarrassment. They got killed by 19 points at home on opening night, and James scored just 18. Not the best start to a season, and it became a theme. Harden plays well, they lose. 40-13, lose. 54-8-13, guess what? They lost. 25-11, 17-6 against a mediocre Dallas team, and they got smoked by 20 points. The Rockets were 9-11 to start the season, and the 14th seed in the West. These guys were supposed to be championship contenders. They were just one win away from the finals. But now, they're at the bottom of the standings. And after coming off a 3-game losing streak in mid-December, Harden was starting to get the hint that he'd have to take his game to a different level if he wants his team to win. So in the 27th game of the season at home against LA, he did just that.
Here's Harden, got the step and stop. Oh, what a move, said Harden with a deep three. Yes, and the foul. Play by Ball, backing his way, goes to the fadeaway.
To get a play for their team.
Harden.
50 points, 10 boards, 11 dimes, and a disgusting poster and flex all over JaVale McGee. This was the moment Harden got his swagger back. Just a few nights later, he drills a dagger step-back 3 against Utah to cap off a monster 47-point night. His next game, 35-9 in a win over the Wizards to put them 2 games over 500. However, the very next night in a loss to Miami, Chris Paul injured his hamstring and he'll miss some time. This was a massive blow for the Rockets, but you're telling me James Harden is going to have the ball in his hands even more now? Sign me up, this dude is about to lose his mind. 39-10 in a win against the Spurs, he lights up the Christmas tree against OKC on Christmas Day with 41. 2 nights later, he goes off for a light 45-9 threes. He drops off New Orleans with 41-9-6, and on New Year's Eve against Memphis, he sparked some early fireworks with a 43-point triple-double for his 4th straight 40-point game. And Houston is on a 5-game winning streak. James Harden was breaking basketball. And ankles. Jimmy Butler, sauced up. Jamal Murray, goodbye. Actually, you know what? Come back here.
He fell down.
His signature step back was an ankle-breaking machine. Try to force him into the paint, and to everyone's demise, he'll draw fouls like it's nobody's business. Double team him, and he'll effortlessly swing no-look dimes for wide-open dunks. The Beard had the league in a chokehold, and he'd keep it rolling in his first game of the new year, because this one was personal. Warriors vs Rockets primetime on TNT. Harden was entering the defending champs' building with a fire unit on standby, averaging over 40 in his last 10 games. And considering these guys sent him home a year ago, the Beard was about to light their house on fire.
Shot clock at 7. Harden. Points is nice. Make it 10th rebound. Another 3. Durant on top. Shot clock at 7. James with the 3. Harden. Step back 3. Good! Right between the eyes. Durant makes a move, lost the ball, tries to get it, saves it, saved inside, outside Curry. It'll be interesting to see on replay if Durant was out of bounds as he saved that ball. Out.
Absolutely he's out. Wow.
How
do you miss that?
Harden trying to get free. Down to 3, down to 2. It's a 3. Good! He got it! James Harden, a flamethrower! Incredible shot! Rockets by 1 with 1 second to go!
Harden walked into the Champs' building, dropped off 44, 10, 15 plus 10 threes, and shut the lights out with a double-teamed 30-foot game winner. This was James's 5th consecutive 40-piece in his 11th straight 30-point game. This dude wasn't just on fire, he was an inferno, pulling Houston all the way up to the 4th seed thanks to an 11-1 record in their last 12 games. It was all Harden, and he was just getting the party started. 38 in Portland, 32-14 against Denver, 42-11-6 on the Bucks, a 43-point triple-double in a win over the Cavs, and a magical 38-point, 12-assist performance against Orlando to extend his 30-point scoring streak to 16 games. This dude was out of control, and just when you thought he couldn't take it to another level, he does. A 57-point avalanche against Memphis in mid-January, and he follows it up by one-upping himself just 2 days later with a 58-point double-double to extend his 30-point scoring streak to 20 consecutive games. We were witnessing one of the game's greatest scorers at the peak of his powers. His streak was even dubbed the Unguardable Tour, and his next stop was New York City, entering the Mecca on one of the greatest heaters in recent history. And for lack of better words, the Step Back King put on a show.
Harden's going to try to step back here. And Trier does it, steps in his way. Moutier will guard him at first. There's the step back. Harden, step back. It's developed James Harden as the shot clock expires. Not fast in this one. Harden, inside layup, count it, and 1. Harassed by Gordon, stolen by James Harden with 61 points, and the Rockets survived.
On a throwdown with 3 seconds left to put his team up 4, James notched 61 points on the night, tying Kobe for the most ever by an opponent at MSG. This dude was a cheat code, and he wasn't getting patched anytime soon. He followed his 60-piece with 35 against Toronto to get the Rockets' record to 28-20 as Chris Paul returned in their next game against Orlando, and it didn't slow him down one bit. Brace yourself. 40, 37, 30, 43, 44, 36, 42, 31, 42, and 30 against the Lakers for his 32nd, yeah, you heard that right, his 32nd consecutive 30-point game of the season. And that's where the streak would end. He'd miss his next game due to injury and score just 28 in his return against Atlanta. Regardless, 32 straight 30-point games is literally historical. It's the second longest streak in NBA history. We hadn't seen anything like this since Wilt Chamberlain nearly 60 years ago. The streak was over, but the team started a new one. The Rockets won 9 straight games to launch themselves from 5th to 3rd in the West with a 42-25 record. A far cry from where they were at the beginning of the season. Houston was finally looking like themselves again, and the Beard was looking better than ever headed into the final stretch of the season. But I mean, this guy wasn't going to enter the playoffs without putting on another show. He erupted for 57, 7-8 against Memphis, but they lost. So 2 days later, he redeemed himself.
Are you kidding me? Harden from the parking lot. Gets it back to Harden. Harden to the basket, lays it up and in. Steps back and fires and hits. Harden got it. Back-to-back threes.
another 61-point performance. But that wasn't even the best part. With Houston down 6 with just 4 minutes left, Harden absolutely took over, scoring 13 straight points to go up 5 and win the game. It was an MVP level performance. Well, not really, but we'll get back to that in just a second. In the final game of the season, James scored 39 to mark his 57th 30-point game of the year, nearly doubling second place Paul George, while also tallying 28 40-point games, 9 50 pieces, and 2 60 bombs. This dude was the best in the world, or second best actually, because he didn't even win the MVP. Giannis Antetokounmpo walked away with the award pretty decisively, and it lit the NBA world on fire. The belief that Harden was robbed of the award was a common thought. He averaged 36, 6 and 7, carrying the injury-riddled Rockets to the 4th seed while making history. In fact, 3 of the 5 basic statistical categories point to James, and 5 of the 8 advanced metrics point in his direction as well. The numbers say Harden, the voters do not. It was controversial, but he had to get over it. The playoffs were here, and after what happened last year, the Beard wanted his get back, and he would no doubt get his chance. Round 1 of the playoffs saw Harden and the Rockets face off against a second-year Donovan Mitchell in the Utah Jazz, and the outcome was predictable. I mean, look at how Rubio was guarding James in Game 1. That is not a winning strategy. The Rockets blitzed them by 32 points, and Game 2 was the same. Harden took off for a 32-point triple-double, they win by 20, and they're up 2-0 headed to Utah. Houston squeezed out a 3-point win in Game 3 behind a lackluster performance from Harden, and it was wraps. Utah threw one last punch with a win in Game 4, then Harden stuffed the stat sheet to close it out in Game 5 to win the series at home, which leads him directly to a second-round matchup against the team that's tortured him for the last half-decade. Warriors vs. Rockets was the rematch Harden and the entire basketball world so desperately craved. The Beard and his squad were foaming at the mouth for revenge after what happened in 2018. But in Game 1, they were reminded that these are the Golden State Warriors. Harden went off for 35 points, but in a tight game, the efficiency just wasn't there. Steph Curry cashed in a dagger 3 with 24 seconds left to ice the game and take the lead in the series. And in Game 2, Golden State took care of business once again to go up 2-0. Harden was solid, but they'll need more from him if they want any chance against the defending champs. And Games 3 and 4 back home in Houston seemed like the perfect place to turn up.
Harden, step back 3. Harden, the drive, floats it up, shots good. The Rockets will get the overtime win.
Houston's no good. Wow, look how far this is. Oh, my goodness. Step back, 3, down, into 2. Oh, he's got the defense. How in the world? That's it. This series has just gotten incredibly tight in a hurry.
The Beard was a flamethrower in Games 3 and 4, frying the champs for 41, 9 and 6, and then cooking them again for a 38-point double-double and a 4-point win to tie the series at 2. Game 5 back in the Bay, though, was critical, and through the first half, it looked rough for Houston. They found themselves down 20 points late in the second quarter, so the Beard cranked it up a notch. He lit it up with a 12-point third quarter to get his team back in the game, and late in that third, they caught a break. Kevin Durant suffered a calf sprain on a jump shot, forcing him to leave the game and be listed as out for the rest of the series. The Rockets had a golden ticket sitting right in front of them. The only question is, will they cash it in? Well, the quick answer is no. It was Golden State who answered the call, coming up with clutch buckets late to take a 3-2 lead in the series. Once again, Harden played well with 31 points, but it just wasn't enough. So, as he entered Game 6 at home with his back against the wall, he came out firing. The Beard put up a massive 14-point first quarter to set the tone for his squad, But it stayed tight as they took a KD-less Warriors team tied into the second half. And that second half is where their season would end. The Bears' nemesis went ballistic for 33 points in the final 24 minutes, sending Harden and the Rockets home once again. In a season that saw him eviscerate teams like very few players ever have, the outcome was the same. Although it ended in heartbreak, 2019 Harden legitimately changed the game of basketball, so much so that it wouldn't be known until years later. The rule changes and the ever-evolving art of drawing fouls is all because of one man. Love him or hate him for it, 2019 Harden gave us a season that will forever be etched in history. I mean, for a while there, he was averaging 32, 35, or actually, you know what? Take it from here, Stephen A.
He's averaging 40! He's dropped 35, 29, 50, 32, 47, 35, 35, 39, 41, 45, 41, 43, 44, 38, 32, 42, 43, 38, 57, and 58. Do you understand what you're witnessing?